Now, the Sussex's cheerleader-in-chief, Omid Scobie, has sparked uproar after a baseless assault against the royal family in his new book. Endgame will be released tomorrow, but some early release extracts have already prompted widespread backlash, including from the Daily Express, whose front page today called on Prince Harry to hit out at the cruel attacks on the royals, basically saying, look, he's got to come out swinging here if he cares about his family. Well, the latest Scobie bombshells include a spurious claim that King Charles is a pampered royal who has his courtiers iron his shoelaces and squeeze toothpaste onto his brush. Scobie also accuses Prince William of briefing the press against his brother, which allies of the future king have since blasted as outrageous suggestions. Well, Celia joins me now. And is Prince Harry duty-bound to publicly rebuke Scobie? Do you think he's got to come out swinging?
Yes, he really does. I mean, because it's one of two things are going on here. Either Scobie has gone rogue and just decided he's gonna. I mean, we really hope that this is his end game, because I'm getting terrible sort of Groundhog Day feeling from all this. But so either he's gone rogue and he's just decided to, try his luck, or he is actually doing this, in some way for Meghan and perhaps Harry too, which is obviously worse. But either way, you get the feeling that it's sort of getting out of control, really, because he's going to, if he is doing this sort of with Meghan and Harry, perhaps, then what happens when they eventually have a falling out, which seems to happen with everyone, and indeed happened with a previous sort of ghostwriter, didn't it? Because then it will become obvious that they have been colluding with him. But it just seems to be a series of really sort of embarrassing. It's very much down in the weeds, isn't it? This one, I mean, the toothpaste, an inch of toothpaste on his toothbrush, and the ironed laces. It's just all so embarrassing.
I mean, that toothbrush thing I'd heard years ago anyway as a kind of joke more than anything. I think a certain way he likes his egg cooked and things. It's not really new stuff, even if it is true, to be honest. So, it does make you question the quality of the book, which has not been that well received as well. I mean, even the New York Times have come out and absolutely panned it. So there you go. But, Harry, I just think if you did really care about your family, surely you would come out and distance yourself from some of the claims in there. You would have to, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. And I think, he needs to, but also she needs to, because let's not forget that she was forced to admit under oath that she'd forgotten, as it turns out, that she had in fact briefed Scobie before for the first book, and she did say this was via an aide. But you see, this is what I'm worried about: is all this language. If you mean that there's one person in between you two, then I'm sorry, but you're still briefing. Yeah. You're still briefing this person. So as we know, truth and transparency are not perhaps her strong points.
Well, possibly not. But look, to another bombshell claim to emerge from this book. So Meghan claimed not one, but two members of the royal household discussed Archie's skin colour while she was pregnant. Here is Scobie speaking about this big royal race row.
I do know who made the comments about Archie's skin colour. The names were mentioned in letters between Meghan and Charles that were exchanged sometime after the Oprah interview. We know from sources that Charles was horrified that that's how Meghan felt those conversations were, and that he wanted to, sort of as a representative of the family, have that conversation with her. And it's why I personally think that they have been able to move forward with some kind of line of communication afterwards, though they may not see eye to eye on it.
Quite a lot to unpack there. So if these letters were between Meghan and Charles and you've not been talking to Charles, how have you got hold of these? I mean, do you believe anything he says?
Could it be? Well, I mean, he's famously lied about his age, to a journalist, which is just not, apart from anything else, just not a smart thing to do, is it? So I suspect a lot of, because it's going to come out. So I think that there's just going to be I mean, I'd like to say he's a figure of fun, but unfortunately, it's not fun because he's needlessly vicious, and also it's tedious. It really is. It feels like when I saw the paper and it had that on the front page about, not one but two, sort of felt like I was, 18 months had gone by and we're still discussing this one sort of rumoured conversation.
Just name it. Just get it out there. Everyone's sick of it. You know, just say all this. Oh no, it's like Mean Girls, isn't it? It's all this kind of talking behind each other's back. And then very often when people, I don't know about you, but you know, in life, whenever anyone tells you, oh no, I can't tell you what I've just been talking about, it turns out it was dull anyway. In the end, you get to the bottom of it and you just think, oh, what was the point of all of that? But look, moving away from the royals, Celia, staff at Guy's and St Thomas's Hospital and King's College Hospital in London have been recording the gender identity of newborn babies on forms instead of their biological sex. So the hospitals have since apologised and attributed the issue to an error in their new IT system. But Celia, you've been doing a bit of digging on this and you're going to tell us what you found now, aren't you, I think?
Well, what's alarming about this, I mean, the first thing that is alarming, because, of course, on every level it's worrying, is that there was no box for sex. So there was only a box for gender identity. Now, we're being told, a spokesman for the NHS said that this was because they've just implemented this incredibly fancy new IT system, £450 million we are spending on this, and that it was an error, a systems error. Now, I think that's a little bit too convenient, given we know perfectly well what their stance has been, particularly recently, despite being told off for this. So they have been, for example, as we know, calling it chest feeding online on their various websites instead of breastfeeding. They've not called them, they're not saying mothers or women, all of that. A ridiculous wokery. And so this makes perfect sense. It's all the same narrative. And what worries me the most about this is that it feels as though, even though they've been told expressly not to do this, they are now so ensconced in their own ideology that they're just going to ignore whatever anyone says.
It's just remarkable. I mean, literally the epicenter of biological fact that what sex is the baby, you know, the baby's just come out of the womb and we're being asked to assign it a gender and not just look what's between its legs. But look, thank you very, very much. Great to have you on the show. I really hope to talk to you again very, very soon. There's Celia Walden there, who's the star columnist at the Daily Telegraph.